The purpose of exams is to evaluate student mastery of course material. Mastery includes not only learning the material, but understanding, synthesizing, and being able to apply that material as well. This video is designed to help you anticipate the kinds of questions you might be asked on examinations for Communication 144, Media Entertainment. The questions on your test will take a number of different forms. For example, there are straightforward knowledge questions based on the readings. We can look at an example here. So this is a passage from the Dolph Zillman article, Mood Management Through Communication Choices. We read here that mood management theory assumes that individuals in bad or in good moods initially arrange stimulus environments in a random fashion. It further assumes that arrangements that are incidentally made during bad moods and that terminate or reduce the hedonically negative state leave a memory trace that increases the likelihood for making similar arrangements under similar circumstances. It's the experience of development of a mood-specific preference. Technically speaking, stimulus arrangements that provide relief from aversion are negatively reinforced and thus are placed in a superior position for reenactment under similar conditions of aversion. It's analogously assumed that arrangements that are incidentally made during good moods and that extend or enhance the hedonically positive state leave a memory trace that increases the likelihood for making similar stimulus arrangements under similar circumstances. A test question that might be derived from this reading is as follows. According to Zillman, mood management media choices are based on A. Deliberation on media content's hedonic valence, B. Past experience with having mood managed, C. Information learned from salient others regarding specific media content, or D. All of the above. Other questions are similar in their character, but based on information that was only available in lecture. For example, here we have media enjoyment is not a function of which of the following: the nature of the media content, social context, characteristics of the audience member, or media enjoyment is a function of all of these. For another example, one apparent factor that motivates media choices is anxiety about death. Research has supported the idea that when people think about death, they make media choices A. deliberately in order to distract themselves from death-related thoughts, B. automatically in ways that validate their worldview or their self-worth, C. that are as conceptually and topically as unrelated to death as possible, or D. none of the above. Note that in these examples, it's the ideas from lecture and the readings that are represented in the questions and answers, not necessarily specific word-for-word definitions or quotes. It's therefore much more important to understand course material than it is to simply memorize. Other questions require the application of information from the readings, lectures, or both to novel situations, settings, or circumstances. Consider the following question that requires understanding and application of the ideas presented in the article by Oliver and Botch. It's 25 years in the future, and your 15-year-old child has just returned from the movies with a friend. She saw a movie that you're not familiar with, and when you ask, how was the movie, she replies, it was really powerful, and then she sort of trails off. You can tell that she found it meaningful and is having a difficult time figuring out how to talk about the experience. Remembering the theorizing about appreciation of media content by Oliver and Botch, which of the following questions would it make the most sense to ask in order to help your child explain her experience with the movie? A. Was the movie mostly happy or mostly sad? B. What are some of the different feelings you felt when watching? C. Did you identify with a particular character? Or D. What about the characters did you feel particularly strong about? Now note that all of these would be good questions to ask in general, and that there are theories that would make each of these questions relevant. but two of the options are particularly relevant to arguments made in the article that's referred to in the question. And of those two options, one is clearly better than the other. Yet other exam questions require the active synthesis of ideas from multiple parts of the course, such as a lecture on one topic and a reading on another. For example, in the reading from MediaLit.org, we read that under the category of women, one group of viewers is, quote, elderly. Whether retired, widowed, or with grown children, they rely on television to satisfy their needs for a sense of belonging in the absence of interpersonal contact. And then some specific program genres common to this audience is listed. A synthesis question based on this and other elements of the course might be this. Elderly women viewers, according to the study we read about in MediaLit.org, tend to share a common motivation for viewing. Which of McQuail's categories or of gratifications would best include that motivation? Is it A, information, B, identity, C, social interaction, D, escape, or E, communication facilitation? Now note that in order to get that question right, you need to remember information about the category, but you also need to remember information about McQuail's categories from a different lecture. It would even be helpful to remember that communication facilitation was from Lull, not from McQuail. I'd also note that it's not enough to learn the 14 categories from the MediaLit.org reading. You have to have some understanding of what those categories include or reflect. Nor is it necessarily enough to learn the names of the categories for Lull or McQuail. Instead, you need to understand what those categories reflect or represent. I hope this introduction has been helpful to you and will facilitate more effective test preparation, and I wish you the very best of luck.